So on Wednesday, we talked about frequency tables, and we are going to go back to frequency tables in order to use them to figure out the mean of a particular data set. So when I have a frequency table, remember, I have values in one column and how many times that value occurs in the other column. So I have the value and the frequency. So in order to calculate the mean from a frequency table, I multiply each data value by its corresponding frequency. I add all of these products together, and then I divide by the total number of values. So I want to figure out the mean of this data set here. So this point right here, 115, tells me that the data point 1 occurs 15 times. So what I do is I take the total, I take 1, my data value, and I multiply it by the frequency. Then I have 3, the data point 3 occurs 5 times. The data point 7 occurs 10 times. And the data point 10 occurs 2 times. Now I add all of these together. 15 plus 15 plus 70 plus 20. And this is 120. And after I have added them all together, I divide by the number of data sets I have. So in order to figure out the number of data, I have to go to this frequency column because this tells me how many times each value occurs. So I'd take 15 plus 5 plus 10 plus 2, which is 32. So I take 120 and I divide it by 32, and this is equal to 3.75. So this is the mean, 3.75. So this is the easiest way to do this. If you really wanted to, you could do the mean by the following. So you could basically you could list out all of your data points, right? So we have 15 ones, so you could do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all 15 of them, and then we have 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So you could list them all up, add them all together, and then divide them by the total number. But that is essentially what we're doing here, right? We are taking 1 15 times, we are taking 3 5 times, 7 10 times, and 10 twice. And then dividing them by the total number of data sets that we have. Remember, this is the mean, not the median, so we don't have to do all of that crossing out business. We just divide by the total number of data points. Okay, and the next example here, we have an interval instead of a particular data value. So when I have an interval, I have to look at the midpoint of that interval in order to know what to multiply the frequency by. So if I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I want to find the midpoint, I do cross these out, and then I have to find the average of 2 and 3. So the midpoint here is 2.5. So I take that midpoint from the first interval, 2.5, and I multiply it by that corresponding frequency. I have another interval now, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, I have to find the average of 6 and 7. My midpoint is 6.5. So I take this 6.5, multiply it by its corresponding frequency, which is 5. And then I have my next interval, 9, 10, 11, 12. Find the average here of the middle 2, which is 10.5. So I add that interval, 10.5, by 2, its frequency. And then I have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. In this case, we don't have to find the average. It's just 15, and we have one of those. So if I multiply all of these up and add them together, I get 76. And how many frequencies do I have? How many number of data do I have? Well, I need to add these frequencies up, and I get 11. So my mean here is 76 divided by 11, which is 6.9. So this mean is an estimate. And the reason that it's an estimate is because of all these intervals. I don't actually know that in the interval from 1 to 4, I don't know that the total here would be 7.5. I don't know that for sure. So this is an estimate because of these intervals. We do the best we can by taking the midpoint of that particular interval, that maybe they are all, 2s in that first interval. In that case, that would make my mean a little bit smaller. In this last interval, maybe they're all 17s, which would make our data set a little bit higher. So this is just an estimate because we don't know what our data is, but we do the best we can. So that is how we do that. And that is all for today. So hopefully you learned something today. I'll see you next week.